And so we are here for you. We're here for you. Anyways, we're going to be, did I say we're brought by Arkon Mounts? I did, yeah. Okay, let me finish that ad. So today, wow, we're glitching. My camera is glitching. Today's episode is brought to you by Arkon Mounts. They are the mounting solutions for you guys that are content creators. If you're a gig worker, if you like driving, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, maybe you're a UPS guy, maybe an airline pilot, and you like having your iPad right there in front of the window so you can, play video games while you're flying your airplane for United Airlines. Go to Arkon.com. They have everything you need for like DSLR stuff. If you're an action photographer, action videographer, maybe you're on TikTok and you like doing those viral videos where you stand at the mall and you're doing these dancing videos, go to Arkon.com. Promo code is Hawaii, and they'll give you 20% off the entire order. That's at Arkon.com, keeping your devices within reach. Okay, that's it. We will be back in 46 seconds. Today, you're watching gLO Sessions live. I think the title for today is gLO the Enforcer. To record this for just in case the video doesn't work out. Just in case. Mic check, audio 1, 2. You want to check your mic? Check.
Check.
Did you see the video? Are you watching it?
I don't see the video.
Are you on the X, Twitter, YouTube?
I am on the.
What do you see? Your face? Or do you see the video?
I see my face and yours.
Oh, see, you missed it. I should play it again.
Yeah, play it.
I can't play it again.
Go ahead.
No, because
I want to see.
We're recording already.
You got 30 seconds. Go ahead, play it.
I can't play it. No, it's gonna have to edit. I'm going to edit the thing. I don't want to edit the thing. So I'm gonna look at you now and say thank you for doing this. These people have no idea how much I stress right before the thing actually goes live. Yeah. The thing is glitching. I don't know what is going on with our connection, but it's okay. At least I'm recording the audio. If anything, the audio works. Thank you to everybody that's watching. Let me see who's actually on. So we have X and Rumble. I don't know. I'll go check the Rumble. Rumble is a mixed bag. And we're live on Kick too. So this is my Wi-Fi. What is going on with the Wi-Fi?
Is it the Wi-Fi? Are you connected?
No, I'm correct. I'm corrected. I'm connected directly to the LAN. Anyways, yeah.
Is that the Halepule?
No, I'm not on Wi-Fi. So what I'm going to do though, I'm going to disconnect all of our devices from Wi-Fi. So, hey, thank you for reposting. Who reposted that? Thank you. True Media, we appreciate you. I'm not sure if True Media is on there. Those guys are from Hawaii.
Oh, aloha.
So they formed a media group, which is what I don't think I want to do it, but I often think about it, of forming a podcast media group where I think eventually if God opens doors for us to do that, I would love to do that, where we can have, I feel like the babies, those baby podcasters, I'm looking at this guy. So True Media they have like a conglomerate. Is that the right word? Conglomerate?
Conglomerate.
Of media groups or podcasters, and they have shows and whatnot. And so it's a great vision. I love it. A lot of the things they do, I don't personally like. I'm not super interested in it, but I have a lot of respect for them. Like, because most of the stuff is like, not most, a lot of it is like the comic book or Comic Con, or like the anime. I don't know about anime, but for sure comic books. They're collectibles.
Okay.
But they have great conversations. and they're free flowing. You know, they're great. Hinano, I think, is one of their names on
Inano.
Hinano. And I think that's his wife. I'm not sure. They don't really talk about personal things, really. They're very focused. But
Inano always makes me think of
the beer.
the logo of the beer.
Yeah. They're famous.
Where they got the
What was I saying? Anyways, yeah. Thank you to Hinano. Or
you say conglomerate. A number of different things or parts that are put or grouped together to form a whole but remain distinct entities.
So they're actually controlled by one, not controlled, but they have a covering. Conglomerate, right?
They come together as one, but they have distinct entities within it.
I like it because
it's a good word.
No, but did you catch what's in the middle of it? Look at the word.
Grouped together.
Look at the word conglomerate. You see it?
Yeah.
Where? Tell everybody what you see.
Glow.
That's right.
We make it glow.
We'll make a conglomerate. So CONGLO and merit.
Merit. It's funny.
You know, yesterday I was on for sure one space. I was on one space. That was a Bible. It was a Bible. I can't remember the name of it, but the guy's name is Shane. He hosts these Bible reading spaces. They call it, for people that don't know, spaces are like it's like a. Every time I try to describe spaces, it sounds like I'm making fun of it, but I kind of am, because I think it's funny, but I enjoy it at the same time. So it's okay to make fun of something that you enjoy. But it's like you got a bunch of people sitting in a room just talking with no video. It's like three blind mice. They're in a room.
It's like a
It's like a telephone call.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah,
but it's not a 2-way call or a 3-way call. It's like it can be a 10-way call.
It's like a telephone call and a bunch of people are sitting there talking.
That's cool. I think that's cool.
It is, but video is my that's my jam. But I get it.
But I mean, that's cool in itself. As long as you're not like a telephone call, you can spend 10 hours talking to somebody, right? Unless it's a difficult situation,
unless
or
you're counting somebody,
you're having one meeting, or the guy's trying to plan out stuff. That's different. But
even 10 hours is a long time.
Yeah, I mean, even for a spaces, 10 hours is a super long time. Like, I get it if you're doing like a 24-hour prayer movement thing, but
What's up, Papa Luke? I see Papa Luke. Every time I tell somebody hello, they run out of the room. So, hello, Papa Luke. Before you leave, thank you for being in the room. And then to our YouTube family, thank you for not Papa John. Papa Bear is on other platforms.
Hello, Papa Bear.
He's not here. He don't watch us. He doesn't watch us. No. There's a joke behind that, because he texted me yesterday. He goes, hey, Joanne is live. She says she wants you to download TikTok. I said, Ron, I've been on TikTok for 5 years. And he's like, oh. I said, oh, you even like my videos and you even commented on my videos. That guy cracks me up.
That's why you're friends. You can make trouble.
And even Joanne knows I'm on TikTok. She was at our house when I went on TikTok with. Did I say my house or our house?
You said my house.
Our house. Our house.
In the middle of the street.
Yeah, I know we got to get serious, but I want to delay the seriousness for a minute. Man, we got some serious topics.
Aloha awinala.
Oh yeah, let's say hello.
That's good afternoon.
Let me say that. Let me do the Russian. You do the to all of my Russian friends.
Well, it's not morning anymore.
It's morning somewhere, honey.
Oh.
It's hello somewhere. To my Russian friends, privyet. To my friends in Turkey, marhaba. To our friends in Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. To our friends in Japan, konnichiwa. Or if you are in the morning, if you just woke up, ohayou gozaimasu. And then, what else? What about Chinese? Wing wing, hello. I'm Chinese, because don't get offended, people. I'm part Chinese.
Hola.
Is that Spanish?
Yeah.
What's Portuguese?
Hola. I don't know what's
Okay, you got to bring in the Polynesian. Go ahead, honey. That's all you. Bring in the Polys. What's up, Alex? I see. Okay, let's get Alex out of here. Hey, I'm not sure if Alex is going to catch this comment, but every time I say hello to somebody, they're like, they're out of here. But Alex, I think Alex is German. I think he's German. I really never asked him. He's got a very unique sound to his voice. But anyways, go ahead. Bring the Polynesian, honey.
In Fijian, we say Bulavinaka. In Tongan, we say Malo Elele.
Hello, elele.
In
Maori.
Tahitian, you say Yorana.
Yorana.
In Maori, you say Kia ora. In Hawaiian, you say Aloha.
Depends what time they wake up. Then you say
Aloha awinala is good afternoon. Good evening is Aloha ahi ahi. And good morning, you say Aloha kakahiaka.
Is that everybody?
I'm not sure.
I posted something yesterday, and I said, "Let me read it." I was being very heartfelt about what I said, and I said, "What did I say? Where is it?" I said that. I'll just read it. I'm trying to stall time so I can find it. So I said, there have been a few podcasts where I just didn't feel it. And I felt like I was bombing. And I said, but I learned from there. And I learned from it and just move on. I think
what is bombing?
Like just not doing good. You don't feel like the conversation is going. Like I was watching some old podcasts that great guests. I think as a host, if you don't have your stuff together, it shows.
Mm.
And I think early on, one of the things I tried to do was just have a conversation, but because the time allotment was limited, I felt pressure to go through topics. And I don't like that feeling. I don't like when someone says, "Oh, I only got I got a hard stop." If somebody tells me I got a hard stop in 1 hour, I'd be like, maybe we shouldn't do it. Maybe we should,
But if they have to hard stop in an hour, then you have to learn how to adjust.
Well, I honestly would refer them to somebody else. That's just my personal, because and it's not a personal like attack or it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that's not where I feel God has this podcast. Mm. Like for me, that's different. 1 hour is different because I'm talking to myself, but it's like having someone come to your house and say, "Hey, at 6 o'clock, you guys got to go." Like, what? That's weird.
Well, everything is always a learning curve, right? We have to be in a position to always be willing to learn something, because if you're not, then you always think that you've arrived and that you're okay. And then there's no room to make any improvements because you're not willing to bend or move, because you're not willing to learn something new, right? In it all. And whether it's learning about yourself, like I don't want to be doing an hour podcast. Like, I mean, not me personally, but what you said. Or, like, okay, how do I make it last as long as I feel like the Lord is telling me,
that's
to make
that's a funny thing to say, to make it last.
Right? Because, I can go longer than an hour, but I don't know if I can go for 3 hours or 2 hours. It's like praying. Like when I first started praying, I was like, yeah, I can pray for an hour. Da, da, da. And then when I first started praying, it's like, oh my God, it's only been 5 minutes, and I feel like it's been forever, right? But it's learning, right, through it all, and I can pray forever now. I can pray for such a long time now, but it's learning to ebb and flow and move with God in those moments, and even like like these, you know where the Lord is leading you, and
Well, a good example is Pep. Pep's a really good friend, great guy, and he's got such a wealth of. He's got so much life experience. Being a Marine, force recon Marine on top of that. And I just wish, like, I think when we go back, I definitely say, hey, we need to sit down and just like, let's carve out some time. Because there's a lot of things that people.
But his time might have to be carved out in advance.
Well,
like maybe
that's where
maybe like several months in advance.
Well, that depends.
Is what I'm saying. Depends on because of the type of work that he does.
Well, I think it's also a relationship. Like if any of our friends come to our house, if Faith comes over, we don't say, hey, you've got 32 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
We make exceptions because from the ministry aspect, we don't want to limit what God's going to bring in that conversation.
Right. But not everybody is in that ministry aspect.
No, but it's not, I'm saying as a friend now. Right. Yeah. So when your friends come over, it's like, hey, right. You know what I mean? If we have dinner, it's like, if we set, okay, you know what? Hey, like for example, when we visit Auntie Linda or anybody, hey, we're just gonna eat.
Maybe he just doesn't have the time because he doesn't have. I don't want to say doesn't have the staffing, or, I don't know. Maybe that's a passion of his, like how this is a passion of yours.
Well, that's
where he wants to be there for those families if something had happened to a family, like in an.
Well, see, that's the fun part, because it's not about him, right? It's about me getting to a place where people would be like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And they don't even think about the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I watched, outside of his obviously his swearing, I love how Joe Rogan was able to redefine conversation for podcasts. And, but there are sometimes where he's like, he doesn't do it a lot, but sometimes he'll go, is there anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here? So that's his way of doing a soft stop. And then he's had guests where even Elon said, oh man, I gotta go. I got a meeting. And even Donald Trump, he said, because it's 3 hours with Donald Trump, the president of the United States, elect or to be, at 3 hours.
I think too that he created such a comfortable place.
Yeah.
For people to be okay with, hey, if you gotta go, you just let me know, or how much, what is your time limit, or, and then that too, right? Like I was talking about learning curve and learning, you learn to ebb and flow, right? The Bible talks about being ready in season and out, and part of that too is learning to adjust, right? And if they have an emergency, how do I adjust in that? And that's pretty much with everything as well, right? That learning to change and move. I mean, change for me, change is hard, right? Moving here is one of the hardest things I've ever done. I've never, lived apart from my family. I've never lived apart from family, where somebody's always close by or around, where you can talk, and you can visit, and you can just hang out, right? That's normally what we do back home, right? That was a very big disruptor when we moved here. I don't want to say you moved in the middle of the nowhere, but we did move in the middle of nowhere. And, families like, I don't know, 6-7 hours away. Although you still have conversations on the phone, but that's not the same as,
Organic is always better.
Yeah. You can sit and hang out.
All this AI stuff, even though the AI is funny, I think AI is funny. Nothing. You know what I think? I think you talk about change. Everybody's changing towards this, creating something that's a version of the real.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some underlying thoughts. We always talk underlying thoughts, but people are creating all these images and videos of things that are not real, but they want you to think it's real, or they want you to think, wow, that looks really real. Right? That looks like the baby. I love the baby videos of the, I think, well, they do presidential, but with Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan. I love them. They're funny to watch because you're like, wow, that looks like if Theo Vaughn was a baby, that looks like they're cute, but it makes you like, wow, that looks real, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I know there's a time coming where it's going to be so realistic.
See, the thing is, people always talk about, yeah, AI is going to be so real. You can't tell the difference. Da, 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 da. But I always go back to that movie. What is that movie? The Mockingjay. Where in the dome, everything looked real, felt real, everything. But there is always a glitch in it that you could see. So the two smart guys, which was that one girl called her nuts, and the other guy with the glasses that created the electrical wire, and the both of them, right, being super smart, they said no, there's always a glitch in it, and if you look
at a certain time, right?
Yeah, well, if you look at a certain angle, you could be able to see it, but you got to be looking for it, right? Because it doesn't just appear out of nowhere, right? It's and it doesn't necessarily just show itself. You have to be, looking for it. In some of the AI, like the things that I see that are AI, I'm always looking for, where's the glitch? Is this AI? Can I tell whether or not this is AI? And can I find it? Because in this world, there is nothing that is perfect, right? The only perfect thing is God, right? And not everybody believes that. But whether you believe it or not is still the truth, right? But AI is not perfect, nor will it ever be perfect, nor will it be this. Well, people can make it out to be a god, like anything else, right? You put anything as an idol, you can make anything your god.
So, what are the glitches of life that would, if someone puts out a video, how will you know that it's a glitch? Yeah, like a video, for example. How will you know? I think a mother will know if that's her son.
Well, I know my kids' voices, right? And even cool. So the other day, we're doing something in the living room, and Gideon was in the room, right? And he made this like high pitched sound, almost like he was in pain.
Last night, I was asleep. Yeah, when it happened.
No, he wasn't home.
Oh,
We were sitting down in the living room with Miko and Zoe, and Cole turned around real quick because he heard it. I said, "Did you hear that?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "That sounds like Gideon. Can you go and check?" So he went to go and check, and I forget what he was doing. He's doing something wrong, but it did sound like he was in pain. And when you know somebody's voice so well, you hear it, right? And even when it's AI, right, you can tell the difference or distinguish well, if you know your kid well enough, right, you should be able to distinguish their voice. You should be able to distinguish
something.
And even on social media, right, you can tell the difference when it's your kid or when it's your spouse. You can tell when something's like slowly not going the right way, or the way that them, not believe them to be, but the way that that they are, right? Whether it's telling the truth or making things up, or you can tell when somebody's wanting attention or identity is I would say out of whack, but searching for identity. Aloha.
True media. We were just talking about you earlier. The conglomerate. I like that logo they have. Interesting.
But it's, even that is interesting because you made a comment the other day. You remember? I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day, and you had made a comment about Hawaiian people moving away from Hawaii.
Get all wacky.
Yeah, and it's like, what? I'm not
They
wacky.
get super Hawaiian after a while. It's like it's a fail-safe mechanism. Make sure we don't lose our Hawaiian.
But I was just gonna say that some of that is fear of losing your identity of who you are as a person and as a people. And so the other day I was watching the Keep It Aloha podcast with Dylan because they had Dylan as a guest, right? And so one of the things that he was saying, and we were laughing about it because I was telling the kids, I was like, yeah, I don't understand because we call all slippers, right? So they were having this conversation back and forth, and he's like, they were talking about slippers and something else. And he said, yeah, no, we just call it slippers. They call it flip-flops. Oh, they're calling it slides.
No, slides is different. Slides has got that fat strap.
Right. But to us, it's all slippers.
Well, we don't call that slip. Well, I guess so. It's like shoes, right? We say put your shoes away. Like shoes is all shoes.
Right.
It can be boots, can be whatever. But
right. But that's kind of our language as well. Because I was talking to Zoe about naming one of her things to name it mea ono. And she said, well, what is mea ono? I said, well, mea ono in Hawaiian typically is all desserts, like all kinds of desserts, not candy, but desserts. Right. So it's, cakes, pastries, whatever. And if in context, if you're following the conversation and you're speaking in Hawaiian, you understand what the context of what we're talking about if you're following the conversation, right? So mea ono in that instant we could be talking about baking a cake. And so mea ono in that instant would be the cake, right?
Yeah.
So in context for us, I mean, it's just simplified, right? And the simplicity of the thing is you're following the conversation, you're paying attention to the conversation. So when we're conversing,
you know what the kind is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people don't know. But going back to what I said was people Hawaiians that move away from Hawaii get more Hawaiian when they don't live in Hawaii, because we look at the things. Not that we did or I did, but I think just in general, I think you look back and you're like, man, I had it so good.
Well, I think sometimes you've taken things for granted.
The ocean,
like
fish,
and places like,
yeah, and the smells.
I remember being young, and then when my family would come back from the mainland, they would say, even my brother would say stuff like, I didn't even think about, even just going to Sea Life Park or going to
That's like the worst what do you call that, animal habitat in the world, but yet we loved it. Yeah,
well, because you're driving to Waimanalo, and Waimanalo is just Waimanalo is a nice drive. It's a scenic ocean drive, right? And then you got Makapu'u right there, and so it's always nice to to go out that way. And then you got the doesn't say Haluma'u, but that's not even the same island. Hanauma Bay, right? Hanauma Bay, okay.
And then the Kiwi coastline, Kiwi shoreline. That's right. One of the most amazing places.
And some you forget to take a break, or you forget to take, not take life so seriously that everything is work, but that you take a break in between and you enjoy life. And I think because Hawaii, we call it a rat race, right? Because it's so expensive that everybody always gotta work, but we don't take the time. Not everybody does that, but a lot of people don't take the time to enjoy because you're so caught up in having to meet payments, pay bills, pay off debt, all those things, that we forget to take time out and just enjoy the beach, enjoy the sun, enjoy the sunset. One of the things that I miss the most is the sunset. it's such a, sitting on the beach and
the
just
sun
watching the sun
touches the
just touch
ocean.
the ocean.
And the
Yeah,
sun touches the ocean, not touches the mountain or the dirt
the ocean.
or touches the buildings. The sun touches the ocean.
I I love watching the sunset because so when my uncle passed away, we went to Maui, right? And so Lahaina had this wall that you could just sit on and look out. And if you're there between February, March, April, you can just see the breaching of the whales always all the time.
Earlier now, they come early now.
But you can see the sunset. So we would sit a couple of days. Me and my cousin would sit down on the wall and we'd watch the sun setting. There, we saw the sunset in Connecticut. Was it Connecticut too? New Jersey.
We never been
one
to
of them.
Connecticut.
Oh, was it New Jersey? One of those little places that when we take jobs, we follow the thing.
New England.
Okay, so we saw the sunset where there was fishing.
Oh yeah,
in the
yeah.
ocean.
So that was so we went
That was
to
cool, too.
New Hampshire, Rhode Island, of course Massachusetts. I think we passed through Delaware. Delaware is like a tiny little pebble.
But it's interesting to see the sunset in different places, and sometimes we take that. I love seeing the sunset off of the shores. I remember being in Waianae, and we used to go. Wasn't just go camping, but my cousin and them lived up the road, so we would always go walk down to Tumbleland, and we'd sit there until sunset and watch the sunset, and then walk back across the street and go home.
True Media posted, we are lucky to live in Hawaii. It's expensive but enjoyable for Ohana. Make it a point to go outside and touch some sand. We used to we lived in Kailua for 27 years. And there was a time from, I would say 2015 through 2019, almost every day, or at least 3 times a week, I'd be at Kalama's in the mornings. And I would live stream it.
But we would always take our kids to the beach, even if it was in the afternoon, just for like
people didn't
30
believe.
minutes, 25.
People don't believe that we lived on sand. People don't believe. Oh yeah, we lived on sand. Our house was built on sand. Like wait a minute, that's not scripture. Oh no,
we lived 2 blocks away from the ocean, so we used to go walk all the time.
People on Oahu know this. They know that the worst sand to have in your car is east side sand.
Yeah, it's irritating. It's so fine.
The best sand to have in your car is probably North Shore, because those are the thick ones that when you step on it bruises your feet. It gives you black eyes when you get pounded at.
Even at beach, you used to have the.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah,
everybody has the. They have the 80 grit. Yeah. Everybody has the 80 grit, and then West Side has 60 grit sandpaper. Oh, my pigeon's coming out. But yeah, so. For anybody for point of reference, like if you vacuum your car and you live in Kailua, you can vacuum the carpets.
Okay, you can be vacuuming for hours and you still never get that thing out.
You still never get. And the funny thing is, if you pound the floor mats, the sand gonna pop out. Whoop, brand new sand. True story. When we moved our Explorer. When we moved our Explorer here. If you remember, I did the sound dampening. As I pulled out the carpet, there was so much sand underneath. We had a beach. We moved the beach from.
We should have collected all that sand. Sell them.
Make soap.
Hawaiian beach sand.
Hawaiian beach soap. But I think what True Media said that the expense. So I looked it up the other day, and if you. Somebody had asked a question. I think it was not Snopes. What's the other one? Quora. On Google, they have that. Quora, right? It's like Curie or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody had asked, "Oh, can I live? If I'm a single person, can I live for $3,000 a month?" And basically, it was no.
No.
Like if you're a single person, you have to make at least $5,000 a month take home. Just to be comfortable.
Crazy, yeah.
If you take home less than $5,000 a month and you're single, you're going to be stressing. Like you're just not going to be like. Now that's why a lot of people live with people, or they live in a room, a spare bedroom or something, because it's a lot cheaper.
But I mean, Ohana housing has always been something that we always had as a people,
That's for
and
local,
even as a
local people.
culture.
Yeah, local
Yeah.
people.
For local people. If you are not from Hawaii and you're looking to come to Hawaii, it's not the same.
That's why people struggle when they're not from Hawaii and they gotta change everything that they've, you know.
That and uh, it's different here when it comes to relationship wise. Even I mean, back home you got your neighbors, you got your friends. I mean, we are blessed to have neighbors the way that
We do.
because it's more of ohana, like how we have back home. It's a little bit different. I'm okay having unruly kids over. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that kind of stuff because it's relationship, right? It's not
People here will, I don't want to say they will never, but most people here will never understand what it means to have gallon-sized bags. To them, gallon-sized bags are like what I put my vegetables when I have extra from my harvest and I freeze it.
You know what the blessing is in having ohana and having a big family is that when you all kind of raised the same way, you all do the same thing. So I was thinking about this the other day because we would have parties, and at the end of the party, everybody would help clean up. It wouldn't just be the family that's having the party, right? The whole ohana gets up, and everybody puts away tables, everybody puts away chairs, right? Everybody bags food, and everybody takes as
because we take care.
Mm-hmm.
These here, I'm not sure you ever. So I don't want to pressure for personal stuff, but I know True Media and then Hinano, they're all connected, and they don't talk about personal stuff. But these, she's part of that.
Happy Aloha Friday.
That blockbuster team. If there's no doubt that she's Hawaiian, when you see her, you just know. That's not meant to make fun, but there's just some people. Like people always ask me, "Oh, are you Hawaiian?" Because I pull very strong on the Chinese Filipino, but the Hawaiian, there's certain. If there's 2 or 3 dead giveaways of my Hawaiian or Polynesian, what would it be?
Your uha.
What is that?
Your uhas.
Oh, the quads. My quads are connected to my buttocks. So sometimes there's no separation.
And then your calves.
Yeah.
Calves are always a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Whoops. But I put up the D's comment. She said, "Yeah, everybody helps." And she's got D's has you look at her, there's no mistake. There's Hawaiian or some Polynesian. Like we cannot hide certain things about
your nose,
the nose,
the hair.
Yeah.
Although I have my dad's nose, but our kids, they have that. Especially Koa. Koa has a nose just like my mom.
I was just corrected. Look at this. I'm actually wrong.
What?
So Dee and Hinata are a husband and wife, right? She says, but Hinata's a Hawaiian. She's an islander from Yap.
Okay.
I don't care what she says. She's lying. She's Hawaiian all the way. You look at her like, wow. But I guess so. I don't know much about Yap. I gotta go look it up. Let me go Google it. Is Yap South Polynesian? Yap. Oh, I'm kind of. Oh, so West Pacific. Okay. That's Hawaiian. That's good enough. But I'm not trying to make Hawaiian the hierarchy of, but all of the Polynesian, right? We're all a part of this. The Polynesian
south of Guam, but immigrant. Yeah, Yap is
okay. Hey, as long as you're not, as long as you're not,
she was Filipino when he first met her. Well, I think Micronesians kind of look I mean,
It depends which. And look, I'm making fun. We can do this because we're poly, but it depends how close you were to the bombing. You know what I mean? If you were close to the bombing, God bless you. Like
that has nothing to do with looking like you Filipino.
I think it does,
Why?
honey.
The browner you are?
No, the people closer to the bomb testing, they have serious health issues.
We're not talking about health issues, honey. Drink some coffee, honey.
But for people that don't know, here's just we talk about substance, okay? But there are certain islands and island nations in the is it Guam island chain? What do they call that?
Guamanians, they have Guamanians, they have
No, but there's
there is Guamanians, there's Micronesians. Micronesia is
okay. My question is, which ones were bombed? That's my question. See,
Micronesia.
It's talking about the island chain.
Yeah. I don't know what part of Micronesia has been bombed.
Now they didn't bomb the people, but they bombed the area. And
well, so nuclear fallout, right, falls upon many. In fact, shoot, what is his name?
Dee might know because that's her region. Marshallese. Okay, yeah. So that's
the Marshall Islands.
Thank you very much. Oh, we got husband and wife fact check us. Thank you. Well, so let me say this thought. So the people, right? And guys, I'm not making fun, but I mean, I kind of am because we.
But the Marshall Islands, aren't they a part of Micronesia? I have friends who are from the
Marshall Micronesia Islands. It basically means a bunch of these islands in the chain.
Yeah, I know.
So you got you cannot say the Micronesian.
So I was just saying that Micronesia covers a big chunk of all the islands.
And then you have Marshall Islands.
You have the Marshall Islands. You have Chuuk. You have Pohnpei. You have.
Yep.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Let me talk.
I'm letting you talk.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm not.
But
kidding.
Same thing like Hawaii, right? So Hawaii is not.
Wait, hold on.
Hold on. Hold on. Hawaii is not just made up of 8 islands. There is like 130 something islands.
More than that.
And atolls, according with.
But also that we're going so far from what I want to talk about.
So you got Micronesia, and then you got Tahiti.
I talk about the medical.
Tahiti.
I talk about the medical.
Okay, whatever. Yep, like Tongan, like Tonga, and Samoa.
So my point was, I don't know how we went so far. My point was the people of the Marshallese people. We got to get back to the original topic. Why do we think some are Filipino? Because when they bombed the Marshall Islands, right? So remember we always talked about this because every Wednesday and Saturday, I remember at the airport, they'd have these flights from Continental Airlines. They would have these medivacs or these ambulance always pick up these people. And one of the guys that I met who was like a whatever, what did they call it? Consulate people would say, oh yeah, we bring in people and they get free medical, they get free services because of what the United States did to the people. And a lot of people don't know that this arrangement was kind of like under the table behind everybody's back. It's one of those now. I think those maybe they'll uncover stuff like this. Hey, wait, why is all this money?
Well, I like know if other people know that they bombed Kaho'olawe, and they used Kaho'olawe as a bombing.
Yeah, but I don't see turtles coming in on medevacs from Kaho'olawe.
No, I mean, it's. Drink some coffee, honey.
No. Why you talking about there's nobody on the island, honey. I'm talking about Marshall Islands.
I know. It's the same concept. They had to move people off the island. Honey.
We're talking about people. You're talking about Kaho'olawe.
So listen, I'm talking about I'm talking about nuclear fallout that comes off of all those things, right? It doesn't just stay on that one island.
Yeah.
But that's where a lot of the health issues come from. It's
That was
generational.
good. I like the turtles. Turtles waiting for minute. Oh, the D said, "Oh my God, Continental Air. All Micronesians would fly Continental Airlines."
Well,
I'm just
we
kidding.
would come. Not we would come, but we would have some of we would have some of them come by, like it was a taxi, but it was like a medical taxi, I guess, or something to that effect, where then bring them all the way to Casa to have surgery done on, because they needed,
A lot of them
or
had
knee
cancer,
replacement
not cancer, but the bone degenerate. So the nuclear. I looked it up. A lot of the health conditions for those people are, what's the word? Bone degeneration disease or something. And then of course, and I know we make fun of them, and I'm not trying to make fun of the people, but
I mean, like osteoporosis, or
and we make fun of their teeth, right? But it's because a lot of them have the rotting, the calcium deficiencies and all that. So
well, so there was one guy that I can't even remember his name. Anyway, we was talking about his dad was in the military. Well, we were talking about military stuff, and then he was talking about, oh yeah, his dad also was in the military when they spread the Agent Orange thing, and so he said,
where?
When they went to Vietnam.
Oh.
But he was saying that when his dad came back, it affected them because he had kids, and generationally, it affects the kids within. They have like weird things that go on with their body because of all of the fallout from those things. And it's the same thing with nuclear fallout, right? Generationally, I don't even know how long, and we were talking about how long it would take for what generation would it eradicate everything, or does it just continuously keep going? Which I was actually, I found one of my papers that I wrote about what was it? Proper use of antibiotics, right? When you get when you have an infection, and when you not using it properly, and then you get mutated genes, but then not mutated genes, but mutated what do you call that? Viruses, when you're not taking the medication correctly. In the same way, like if
Like it migrates.
It
Migrates.
So if it mutates, that means it doesn't go away. It just gains an edge over the medication that you're taking.
Yeah.
Same
What do they
thing
call
that
it?
you have mutated genes within.
It builds a resistance.
Yes. So, but with nuclear fallout, or like with the Agent Orange thing, right? It affects your body. It mutates your genes, and it.
I looked up YAP, and they're pretty far away from the nuclear. They're pretty far away from that. But
it's pretty interesting.
So where are these from? They're from, I guess it's called the Federated States of Micronesia.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna flex my Yapese language skills. Some of the principalities or municipalities of Yap are. No, that's what it says. I mean, no, it says
municipalities.
It says they're not principalities. They're not spiritual beings. Oh, this is too funny.
Funny. So
hold on.
I see the Micronesian comment because I just thought about that now.
Okay, let me flex my skills real quick. So Delipi Binao, Fanif, Gagil, Gilman, Kanife, Mahap.
Yeah, Micronesians. I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh, Micronesians are like the smaller part of Polynesians. So were you guys the original Menehunis?
Stealing all of our resources.
That's not what the Menehunis were used.
I'm just kidding.
It's not what the Menehunis did.
It's a joke.
I know, but I'm just saying.
The joke is you wake up in the morning. What happened to my bike? Oh, the Menehunis will come grab them. Oh, see, I said something correctly. I probably said, I would say about 60% of them correctly.
Honey,
I said about 60% correctly. I know I did because
10%, 10%.
no. So
Drop your
the
numbers.
climate of Yap, it belongs to the typical tropical rainforest climate
Ooh.
with high temperature and rainy weather throughout the year. The most humid time of the year is June to October. And a little bit late. All right, that's fine. That's good. It's good. So the Yapese language belongs to the Austronesian.
Oh, interesting.
Austronesian. And the oceanic languages. Some of this might not be accurate. This is Wikipedia, so sometimes Wikipedia they have agendas, right? So interesting.
So I know Chuukese, part of the Chuukese, because I was talking to Miss Council, in conversation with her, we was talking about the history of Chuk, and she was talking about how some of the Japanese language is in Chuukese.
That's why they have Japanese names.
She said it's a mixture.
I like to know where they came up with Chuk.
Honey,
I'm serious. Like, how did they come up with Chuk? Like, even Yap is. Okay, take it back because I looked it up. Yap is. I would maybe is that the English adaptation of the original language? The original language. It is sometimes written as Wa'ab. I'm pretty sure it's Wa'ab. So it's W-A Okina A-B. So
Japanese, Spanish, and some German words.
That makes
interesting.
Sense. Yeah. It's cool to learn about our people. Yeah. All of our people. Yeah, see Wa'ab. And
it even in the same way, like people don't know about Fiji and Africans.
What they do know about Fiji, I think, and I'm just speaking from my years of living on the mainland before meeting you, I would say people's perception of Fiji, which they may not even know, is usually intertwined with Maori culture. The guy who looks like he's screaming crazy, eyes are popping. Yeah. A lot of that actually is in Fijian culture too.
Yeah, well, in growing up and learning all of our native people's histories, one of the things that they did was, and the way they do that was for war, and it was to scare their opponents.
It's taunt, right? Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the weapons that were used had shark teeth inside. It had they would use it with all different types of weapons, right? Because that's what they would use as weapons of war. But they would use, they would make those faces and things, and the shouting and all that stuff was to intimidate the the enemy, right? And so they would fight a lot with Tongans and Samoans. They would all fight amongst themselves there. I don't know how far away Hawaii is from from there.
From where? Fiji?
From Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa, because
like 1,000 miles.
And then you got you got Aotearoa, who is our kin, right? Aotearoa and Hawaii, right? But they always say, Hawaii has always been where they come from, but Hawaii is the youngest of all of the Polynesian islands. Which
why do you think Hawaii is the? I'm not saying we're the best, because that'd be that would sound prideful, but why would you say that Hawaii is the most significant out of all in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, but most people, when they look at a Pacific Islander, they don't go and say, "Oh wow, look at that Fijian." They'll say, "Oh, look, oh, that must be Hawaiian." Like Moana, immediately they go, "Oh, that's Hawaiian," but Moana's not Hawaiian. The movie in itself was not. I mean, there's Hawaiian culture to it, but
Moana is used in many of the Polynesian islands as
so why is Hawaii at this? Why is Hawaii the only point of reference for most people?
I don't know if Hawaii is the only point of reference, but Hawaii was the one that was overtaken by the United States. And since the United States is a bigger colonizing country, I think that's why. But then I also believe, because Hawaii is in that point where Hawaii was always the stop before they went westward or westward. They went either toward the United States or down more toward the Pacific Islands. So even in looking at records, even looking at records in my own family, there's a lot of records of ships coming back and forth, but Hawaii has always been that stop before going off.
Well, I'm looking on a map now.
way.
I kind of understand now why. Just because the location is literally in the center between North America
Or even Japan.
to Asia and Japan. Now, if we talk about like Tahiti or Samoa, they're below the equator. So there's no strategic importance because the next continent to the right is South America.
Mm.
So topography wise, Chile, Argentina, Peru, all those places have very steep mountainous ranges. You look at the United States or most of the United States is there's a lot of I probably might sound like uneducated here, but there's a lot of open prairie farm. I mean, there's just a lot of resources, and so I'm thinking, well, why is it that why did they pick the United States? Probably because that's the only place they could land without getting to fights with South. I mean, I know it sounds funny, but imagine if they decided to go to South America, they'd be fighting a bunch of not Aboriginal, but what do they call those people? The ones that shoot the darts. Those people. I think everybody shoots darts at some point in history. But anyways, my original question was why Hawaii? I think Hawaii just because of the strategic position.
I was just going to say Hawaii is a strategic. And the United States, I believe there wasn't the only one, but Hawaii, it's strategic, right?
Strategically.
And, it was very a strategic point for them with Japan as well. I see.
I put it up on screen. You want to read it?
Yeah, let's see. I know, can see.
I think it's because a lot of people are not educated enough about other places, and because Hawaii is also known in world history as well. That's what was said about the different countries that wanted to take over Hawaii because of where it was located. From a military standpoint, it's the best middle point.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this week, and I was thinking about Kamehameha, yeah, and I was thinking about Kalakaua and Liliuokalani, right? So Kalakaua was Kamehameha's uncle, and Kamehameha was such a militant, if I can say it that way.
He's a mighty warrior.
Militant, strategic king that it wasn't easy to try and what do you call that? Overthrow this king, right? And I was thinking about back then because you got one king to unite 8 islands.
Who are we talking about now?
Now we're talking about Kamehameha, right?
So who is this that Stephen drew?
It looks like Kamehameha.
Because all his artwork is Kalakaua.
No, it's different kings or different chiefs, I should say.
While my wife is talking, shout out to my friend Stephen Kakayo on Molokai. He's the owner of Kava Roots. Amazing artist.
So I was thinking about Kamehameha, and he united all these islands, which would kind of be hard if you think about it, to unite islands and to get the islands to really come behind him, and because each island had different chiefs, right, in different areas, and then you had to have the chiefs come alongside you, as well, and he united them in such a way that they all backed him, because every island had their own king, had their own chiefs, had, you look at Oahu had what is that chief's name? I forgot his name, but he had basically the whole east side was just that one chief.
On the windward side.
Yes, in himself.
Did we forget? Yeah, give us a sec.
I want to say not Kawikeawali. He was king.
It's K something. Come on.
Anyway,
hey Sue, good to see you. Kukana Hoku on YouTube.
I was like, that's not his name.
No, that's Sue. She's our Canadian friend who has a Hawaiian name.
Oh, what was that?
The chief. Oh my gosh, I want to say that's crazy. We can't remember because we did studies on it too. It begins with a K. He was the big chief on the windward side. Oh my god, I gotta look it up right now. My goodness, how come I can't remember that? That's crazy.
The Battle of Nuuanu. I can't even remember his name. Kalani Kupule.
Is that the right? Is that right?
No, probably not.
Yeah, I'll find it in turn.
No, Kalani Kupule was. I do know some of the kings conceded. That was his own family. Yeah.
Kakuhiheva.
Kai Kuiheva. How did I forget that? Kai Kuiheva.
It's kind of a hard name to remember.
Now when you dance hula.
I dance hula.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
I did dance hula when I was in elementary school. That doesn't mean I enjoyed it.
Okay. Anyway. Kai Kuiheva. But I thought it was just, because I was thinking, wow, they have all this thing, but maybe they wanted Kamehameha to work with them. Yeah. Kamehameha, he was a very smart man too, because he knew that they could overpower him at any time, right? But he could strategically, right, get in a place where he could use them as well. Yeah.
Here's a question. What was his name?
Oh, Kamehameha.
What was his name?
What was his name?
Yeah.
It's a long name. Very long name, and Kamehameha was part of it.
Right? Well, what is his name? It's an honest question because what was his name, and why is nobody carrying his name today? It's a good question. And we're not talking about thousands of years ago. We're talking about 300 max, 400 years. As far as family lineage, where did it go? And
okay.
Right?
Let me read you his name.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kalani Pael Vohi o Kalekini Keali'i Kui Kamehameha o Iolani I Ka'ivi Kapu Ka'ui Kaliholiho Kuni Akea. That's his whole name.
So he basically he couldn't get a driver's license.
Nope. Not with 100 letters.
That's more than 100 letters, honey. I think that's like
I'm not counting.
37 and counting. Yeah. City Flyer, good to see you on YouTube. Thank you to our YouTube family. We appreciate you. What does it mean? What does it mean? True Media says, thank you. I appreciate you guys, True Media. And you guys have a good show as well. True Media, bro. I'm gonna call him Hinano. I'm sure he told me his name. I'm sorry if I forgot, but Hinano, man, he runs a good show. Like, even though I don't like, I'm not into the subject material as heavy. At some point in my life, I was when I was a lot younger, but he's so professional. He's got a radio. He's probably a DJ on. He's probably a radio DJ on the side, or that maybe that's his day gig. But when him and D, there's a flow. Like, they don't like have you and I have, we have atomic love, yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Atomic love.
Yeah. Atomic love. Okay, yeah. So that's Hinano. So but yeah, they have a great show, and their media group, True Media, is good. They have a couple of other people. There's this guy on the main, I can't remember his name, but yeah, they're good. They're good. But thank you, appreciate it, and I'll be sure to catch you guys live as well.
Calvin Mohili.
Yeah. So, did you find out the meaning of the names? You looking it up? For Ed, real quick, family, for those of you that are joining us, I just want to say thank you for Ed. This is not a heavy subject material today. I told my wife we need to go live. We got to put out another podcast. We obviously we talk about real stuff, but we have fun at the same time. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is to make sure we deliver our hearts to you guys, and whatever God puts in front of us, we try to like relate that to you guys. And sometimes we get good ones, and sometimes we don't. But the main thing is that we do it, and we just want to thank you guys for being here. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or Rumble, thank you. If you're on Apple Spotify, if you're on Apple Spotify. Thank you as well. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But really appreciate you guys. I'll give you 30 more seconds to get
I was saying, I don't know if it's that important, but to actually know his name at the moment, like what his name means.
If you was to paraphrase into one word, what would it be?
Also known as Kamehameha the Great.
The Great. I think the Great is a Western thing. Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, because he was Ali'imo'i, which is the highest chief, right? That there could ever be. But I think he was known as Kamehameha the Great because of the uniting of the islands, and how, that would be impossible for somebody to do. But there was a prophecy that was laid out about his life, and I don't know how many times I heard that there was a prophecy about
when he was a kid, right, on a big island. That I remember. And I remember not too long after that, whenever he was old enough, he lifted that stone at the Lyman Museum.
Mm-hmm. And that's when but he usurped it. So what is his name? Kalani Opu'u, I think that was the uncle that raised him because his father had died. Raised him side by side with the cousin, and really was the cousin who was supposed to become chief, right? Well, Kamehameha had already had a plan in place, and once the uncle died, in honor of the husband, not the husband, in honor of the uncle, he waited for the uncle.
Do you think the Hawaiians actually called him the Great?
I
don't think so.
The Hawaiians are us as a people.
Because so if you look at European,
no, I don't think so.
Like European history, they had all the greats.
Right? I don't believe so, because like I said, there's always fighting between chiefs on the islands, right?
Thank you, D. You guys have a beautiful day and weekend. Thank you for the great conversation. Oh, you have no idea. Wait till you catch us organically. Next time we're on Oahu, bro, we're gonna break bread. We're gonna broke them out. And we're gonna have some real, oh my god, we need some real fish. Oh my god. Yeah, but thank you for being here, D. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Mahalo nui. What was talking about?
But what were you talking about? In uniting, the island, he overtook his cousin. But like I said, he already had he had already had a plan because he was talking about Kamehameha the Great, right? And I don't believe that the people recognized him as Kamehameha um, the Great, right? They were subject to war, right? So there was a lot of war that went on. I know Kauai surrendered, and they came alongside him, so they helped him, right? Because the ruling chief in Kauai was relative to Kamehameha. I know they hid away Nahe and Ena. No, that was shoot, what is her name? They hid her in Molokai from him, but also
HID or HIT?
what you mean?
Did you just say hid or hit?
Hid.
Oh.
Hid. But there's so much war going on because he was, now uniting on different fronts, right? So there's Makahiki season, right, which was honored throughout all islands. So during the Makahiki season, there was no fighting at all. It was just a time of peace. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Makahiki season was between February and March. I forget. And the Makahiki season is nobody fought during that time. Yep, February and March is
Makahiki. What does Makahiki mean?
the Makahiki season is when they would honor the god Lono, right? So for 4 months it was a time of peace and a time of festival, so they wouldn't there'd be no fighting, there'd be gathering of food prior to this, and they would just celebrate peace. I guess they'd go to the ocean, swim, whatever. They would have games, they'd play like Ulumaika is a game that they would play. There are different games that they would play together and they would enjoy. It's weird, it's like, I don't know. we weren't friends before, but all of a sudden we're going to be friends for this Makahiki season and we're going, enjoy together. And then we're going back to war after the Makahiki season, which, that's how it was back then, right?
Evolved in the house. Thank you for joining on X. Aloha to you and your family.
Oh,
this is a good segue to identity. We're talking about Hawaiian, Polynesian. We're talking about Yap. We're talking about Chuk. We're talking about all the Tongans, Fijians, Samoans. For anybody that hasn't watched that show, David, The House of David, that's a good show. Yeah.
Oh, Keopulani, that's her name. Gosh, Keopulani was their mother.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate The House of David?
I like The House of David so far.
I like how they put a disclaimer in the beginning. They're very like, hey.
I don't think any of other ones have ever put a disclaimer or anything. I don't think I've ever read a disclaimer, but they put a disclaimer that, even though they have biblical facts, it's not, it's not all biblically facts. And one of the biggest thing that is not a biblical fact is that the guy that plays David, right? He's not redhead.
Is he redhead?
David was a redhead. I swear he was a redhead. No?
No. There's no way in scripture that says he's a redhead.
No.
To find it.
I don't know. I may have got my facts mixed up, but I swear he was a redhead.
For sure, Esau.
Well, maybe that's why.
Yeah, for sure, Esau. That's the only one I know of that was in scripture that would say that. Then I might be, somebody can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. King David is believed to have red hair.
So, there has to be a scripture though. Maybe I read it and didn't care, but there has to be a scripture reference to it. Let's look it up. That's interesting. I don't know why I found that to be important or not important? Sometimes these things are speculatory too, right?
It says in the King James version of the Bible, David is described as having red hair. Oh, ruddy. Ruddy implies reddish color of hair or skin.
It could also mean muddy. No, let me go look it up.
Ruddy complexion. 1 Samuel 16, verse 12, refers to David's complexion. The word means having a healthy reddish color.
Interesting.
Red. Yeah.
Wow,
I have admony. Admony.
So this is potentially, but it doesn't explicitly say that it's red. But so the Hebrew.
No, so ruddy means. So I'm reading actually from context of the translation.
So Hebrew is admonai.
Okay, so it's admonai, but it means ruddy or red.
Now another translation is the cheeks.
So he was
complexion, not necessarily his hair. Not. Let
me see. He was red with fine appearance, red and handsome, and he was and he despised him. My lover is radiant and red. Their bodies
so
more than ruby. That's what
I think it's in reference to his complexion, not necessarily his hair. You know who would find out for us is
I always thought that he had red hair because when I looked it up, when I said, yeah, I swear it was, he had red hair and he had, yeah.
I don't understand. Okay, so why is that important again? What were we talking about? House of David.
I was talking about House of David, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
or the accuracy of the actor versus what scripture.
Yeah, what's written in scripture, and not everything is accurate. So basically, they were saying that they were giving their writers creative, I guess, movement in how they wrote the show, but they do have some accuracy in there, and so the accuracy of David and what is his name? What is her name? King Saul's daughter,
Michal.
Yeah. I don't think that was correct, but
that's all just to make the movie.
Yeah.
And that's fine as long as they didn't take away. If they add to where, and it still falls in context. Yeah, if it stays in line with chronological and it doesn't, that's fine.
So when they dealt with the parts that scripturally shouldn't have been taken out of context, right? Like how when they dealt with Goliath, they use scripture in that context, yeah. And then even what was interesting to me was
I got it.
The dad, the relationship between the father and
so I looked it up on the Codex Sinaiticus, which is the original text for Hebrew and for Greek. So it in the Codex Sinaiticus, which is the actual what Wesley Huff, anybody that reads the Bible. So it does not specifically mention him having red hair. It is it says it does mention the word ruddy, but it is in context is interpreted as a reference to the complexion, which could mean the hair, but it was very, very specific for sure on complexion.
Which means he was fair.
So, and part of that was that he didn't have a warrior's leathery. That's why when he approached people, like, who is this kid?
Yeah.
Right. Now, it does say the Codex Sinaiticus. It doesn't have any elaboration on the description. I guess it's not something that's worth elaborating on. But it does say obviously the ruddy, but it does very specifically it does for sure apply to complexion. right? So I don't know why that would. I don't think it would be a church splitter. I don't think.
No, I think it's, the context in which it was written
Well,
in.
we're talking about the movie, but I think the
Yeah.
movie was not movie. It's a series. It's on Amazon.
Series on Amazon.
Amazon.
I think it's a pretty good series.
I cried. I don't know if anybody else.
agree.
I cried because I just thought it was powerful. For anybody that reads their Bible, like that story, just when you see them actually use scripture in the action scenes, action sequence, wow, they got it. For me, I cried watching because wow, that's powerful. Like, wow, they actually. Now the other, spoiler alert, the one where he got, jabbed with the spear. That's not in scripture. There's no in scripture that says that he was hit with anything or he was injured in any way.
No, they did stab Jesus with the spear.
No, we're talking about David, the house of David.
Oh yeah.
Talking about Goliath when he threw the spear.
Yeah.
So there's no reference, and there's no reference even in scripture where Goliath was throwing. He had threw several.
Sorry, that was two different movies.
But yeah. So, but I did like the fact that he.
Now that scripturally is more in alignment, and then you have not the House of David. What is the other one? The Rings of Power. That's the other one that we've been watching, and that one you kind of got to filter through and figure out which part is which, and then so the person who wrote Rings of Power is actually the son to the guy who wrote the Lord of the Rings.
Son or grandson?
Son or grandson? One of them.
Gotta be grandson because that's back
I thought
then.
son. No, it came out in the kids are researching this. I think 1964, either 1950.
No, are you talking about the author of Lord of the Rings, Tolkien?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about Peter Jackson, the guy who made the movie?
No. Who wrote it? It's kind of interesting.
Because I'm pretty sure he was in the 1700s. I may be wrong. He was born in so he was born in 1892.
Okay, so maybe it's a grandson then.
At least grandson.
Because that's, of course, they curious, right? So they went to go look
Google
it up.
They Gemini it.
So we were watching, and it's very interesting, the bait of Satan in it all, right? It's we was talking about commandment, we was talking about all these things, and we were talking about identity, right? And I think as a Hawaiian moving away from Hawaii, knowing who you are is something that has to stick with you. That's what I want to say. It's not necessarily conforming to everything. Like I was talking about with Dylan, and he was talking about how, there's some things that I'm just not going to change. Like everything is slippers, so it's slippers to me. I'm not going to say flip-flops. I'm just going to say slippers. There are certain things that, there's certain things that you're not willing to bend on, and, not bending on those things, causes you to keep who you are. Right.
Yep.
And so, it's very interesting here because, when we talk among family, yes, we speak in Pidgin, right? Yes, we speak in Hawaiian. Yes, all these words come out. I say pau all the time, and I'm not willing for change, saying another word. So I say pau. Are you pau? I always use Hawaiian words within because that's how, that's how I grew up. I'm not, planning on changing.
Stop it.
Yeah, changing. That sometimes I have to explain myself to other people, because I say different words. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is what this means, right? So that they understand for context, which is teaching them a part of who we are as a people as well. But then there are other times where we have to not change who we are, but to what I said earlier, to be flexible, and speak a certain way. But when we're here and we get together with a whole bunch of other Hawaii people, we all just let loose, right? And
Bullets are flying.
yeah, and it feels so much at home, and it's a more of a peaceful environment because I'm not having to think, okay, I have to say this. I have to say this word a certain way because people are not going to understand what I'm saying.
It's like shooting a gun with a bunch of bullets, and you just let the bullets fly. Versus you got to put a filter and give them just a couple of bullets.
Which is what I do to our neighbor. Like I'll say these different words, or I'll say these different words even to the kids, and then I'll explain it so they kind of get used to the language.
Teach them.
Yeah, so they get used to who we are and they understand what it means versus me having to change myself over something that's different. And I think as being being a Hawaiian not in Hawaii, that's hard. I mean that would be hard for kids to do. And even back home, I mean, even for my grandma, that would have been hard for them to change the way they speak, adjust for different things. And then you get two extremes, right? You either go far left or you go far right, right? You either go, I'm not changing nothing for nobody, da 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 da, or you'll completely change and leave behind your whole culture, your whole way of life. You're changing your whole family dynamic when you shouldn't go either extremes, but there should be a balance in between, right? And you learn to teach your family how to be flexible.
You either go full H one way or full H the other way.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it.
But
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with howlies. It's just the culture. It should be balanced.
You go in full activist mode, or you go in full howly mode. And either one is not. They're not the best place to be.
If you go full balance. Left or full right, you go wacky either way.
Right. So you got to find balance and the middle ground. And I really believe as Hawaiians, as Hawaii had grown and had accepted more people into Hawaii, this is what helped shape culture in understanding that we need to have balance, because I'm proud of who I am and you're proud of who you are, and we can respect that, and we can learn to grow and mingle together. And that's the thing about Hawaii that I love, that we've so grown and are respectful of other people's cultures, right? That here is very different, right? You can have a Chinese person running a Japanese restaurant, right? You can have just different people running different restaurants. That it's like, wow, this is strange. But back home, you got Japanese people running a Japanese restaurant. You got Chinese people running a Chinese restaurant. You got Korean people running a Korean restaurant. You got Hawaiian people running a Hawaiian restaurant, right? Then you got localized food, which is a combination of all of the mixed culture in Hawaii, right? Which is, even that is a testament to itself. Like, they've learned to adapt and grow and really bend and ebb and flow together, if I can say it that way. But also the respect of localized food is basically a fusion of all these different ethnicities all together, right? Then you got the cultural side, where you got Japanese food made by Japanese people. You got Chinese food made by Chinese people, right? You got Spanish food made by Spanish people. You got, and it's a beautiful blend, if I could say.
There's not a lot of Mexican food in Hawaii, though.
I said Spanish. I never say Mexican.
I know, but I know. Listen. I know what you said. That's why I said Mexican. There's not a lot of Mexican food in Hawaii, but there's a lot here.
Well, so
the Spanish is definitely, like, there's different,
because like like my family, right? The Puerto Ricans came over to work the plantation fields. That's where you got most of the Puerto Rican
I
dynamics
have
on
a
all
bad joke,
islands.
but part of it is because,
Tell me that joke.
huh? No, it's not a bad. My point is, it's easier to go from Mexico to California, right? So people that came to Hawaii had a reason for work, right? Or I don't know what would make people want to come to Hawaii that have never been to Hawaii before.
I know why my family came to Hawaii, and it was because of that the hurricane that wiped out the islands, because they didn't want to come, but it wiped out the islands, and there was an opportunity for them to grow, and for people to find jobs, and so my grandpa Bushan, his his older siblings ended up staying in California, and
I mean, they must have known Hawaii's beautiful. Obviously, I mean,
I don't know, not everybody came to Hawaii, right? And then the rest of my family moved on to Hawaii.
well, imagine, let's say, whatever year it was, they're like, okay, let's go to Hawaii, and they're like, all right, let's just go. No, I don't think so. I think they're like, oh, it's beautiful. There's beaches, beautiful
I
weather.
mean, they probably sold it that way.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Because they lived in I don't want to say, I don't want to call it concentration camps, but they did call it, like, there was a Puerto Rican camp
it's
up
separated.
in Kalihi, and there were different islands, right? So my grandma Fraticelli, they came from Kauai.
The majority of that was for efficiency, right? That was the majority. Like, you can't have a bunch of Hawaiians with a bunch of like Puerto Ricans and they can't understand each other because then nothing would get done. So,
Well, that's why they had camps, right? So one of these ladies that old lady, Japanese lady, I used to take care of her husband, she would tell me these stories about living on plantation. She was a little girl when she lived on plantation, and she said and she told me that they learn broken English that way because they need to figure out how to not just talk to each other, but the lunas, or the guys who were over everybody, knew how to speak English, right? So they learned how to they had to learn that language because these were their bosses, right? And then they learned how to talk together. And she was telling me it was over food.
you think
right?
you think they had one boss for every ethnicity?
No, that's not what she said. She said there.
Do you think they had like sub like like micromanage? You know what I mean? Like, you think they had? You got one big boss who bosses all the other guys, but then
No, I do believe that they had many lunas, because that's what she was talking about. There was many of them, and she didn't like Portuguese people. That was hard for her because of that, because they were
a lot
mean.
of
That's what she said.
a lot of old timers, even grandma, she didn't like Portuguese.
Yeah, well, on the plantation field, she said.
What did they do? Yeah,
She said they were mean. That's what she said, and I don't know what she meant by that. But there are times where they would bathe, but they had a communal kitchen. It wasn't that everybody had separate kitchens. There was a communal kitchen, and then you brought your dishes to this kitchen. And so
I wonder if it's because Portuguese. So Portugal and Spain were known as the explorers of the world. Yeah. So I imagine
the Portuguese people were the first to have slaves historically.
in what time period are you talking about?
Back in the 1700s.
You're talking about for Polynesian history.
No, just history. That's
Not. What do you mean slaves?
They were the first to enslave people. Not enslave people, but yeah, they were the first to have slaves. That's throughout history. The historical records that I saw, they were the first to. Well, I'm talking about in a new world. I'm not talking about like
slaves in general.
Yeah.
Like, slaves in general have been since the beginning of time.
But they were the I think they were the ones who maybe started the pilgrimage of traveling further and further looking for
Because I think from what we know of history, yeah, but I think there was slavery even.
well, there was slavery even back then because that's what they did with the African people.
Well, we're talking Hebrews. We're talking about 4,000 years
Right,
ago.
but I'm talking about our history, and that's where I'm talking about Fiji and bringing
I think since the beginning of time,
there was always
when you
slaves.
have kingdoms and
Mhm.
kings who are
Mhm.
not good people, you're gonna have slaves. You're gonna find, hey, I want to take those people and make them do all of our work for us.
So I want to say in the explorer era, if I can call it that, when they started exploring for more stuff like, you know, I think it was the Portuguese and the Spanish that was in competition with each other in as far as finding.
Exploration was the
Yeah.
big.
Mhm.
There were so I know Spain and Portugal in terms of exploration, they're always competing
Mhm.
for whatever reason. It depends on what king was in power at the time,
Mhm.
right? And so if one of the most famous, there's a couple of famous stories. One is uh, the Fountain of Youth, right? That's one of the things that they look for, right? The various treasures, or even looking for like hidden kingdoms where they could find wealth, right? One of the ones is what's the underwater people? Underwater people, what do they call them?
Aquaman.
Yeah. Well, what's the Atlantis was one of
Atlantis.
those things
Yeah.
that they had hoped to find. Or it's funny because back then they didn't have a global view yet, so their maps were all square.
And it's funny because our people always sailed.
It wasn't until they found out, hey, wait a minute, if I go, how can it be square if I do it this way? I came right back to. That's where they figured, hey, we
So
should.
there are historical records that our people have been up in
Cold places,
yeah, very cool places.
and
Of course, we had our people in Rapa Nui.
even down to cold places from what I heard. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's true, but down in cold places is different than up in cold places. Down is the coldest. Yeah, won't get into that, but there's some crazy stuff about civilizations even in
Well,
the South Pole.
you look at Genesis where it talks about seafaring people, right? That's who we are. We are seafaring people, right? We would always travel a lot of the times. And so the historical documents, one of the historical documents I read was about Rapa Nui or Easter Island. And that's one of the places that our people have sailed to and migrated to. And then I can't remember which cool place. I know there's records in Alaska. I think up in the poles as well. They found found a canoe or something like that. But our people was always searching. I want to say searching for Newfoundland, searching for people, and I believe that the reason why we're still all connected as Polynesians is because the same thing, family,
Yeah,
right? And then you go back home to family, right? It's not that they just come to Hawaii, but then from Hawaii, you travel back down. You go to Aotearoa, you go to Tonga, you go to Samoa, you go to Tahiti, right? You go visit, Melanesia. You visit all of your family all along the way,
do you know
right?
any Melanesians? I've never met any. I may have not even known
I
it.
may have.
That's the
I
cool.
know somebody from Niue. I
That's the
know people from
coolest.
Tahiti,
Don't you think Melanesians is the coolest sounding Polynesian name?
Melanesia.
Melanesian.
I don't even know what they would look like as
Let's,
far
let's
as
look it up.
Melanesians.
Look it up.
Obviously, I grew up with Tongans and Samoans and um I grew up around, obviously Hawaiians. Obviously, Samoans are my family as well. Uh
Wow, they have some
yeah,
strong Popolo African roots.
Melanesia.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if even there, they um created a prison there maybe too. Could be kind of like Japan. Yeah, Okinawa was where they would put all the what do you call that?
I would say they have strong African roots, but then I see a lot of them have colored hair. Interesting. Like natural Hawaiian red hair, not red, but you know, you have the Hawaiians that have
Evu
the,
color.
yeah, but it's
Evu.
natural. At least I think it's natural.
Like your son was saying that he has brown hair.
There's a lot of them with blonde hair. It's very interesting. Where did they get that? Wow, that's
In fairness, just like there's Samoans who
that has
have
some
German roots.
there's some Melanesians with like blonde afros.
I believe.
And there's a lot. I'm pulling up. These are just images of villages. There has to have some Howley blood inside.
Well, like I said, Samoa has German roots,
Oh, German. Yeah.
right? You look at
Interesting.
what is his name? Pastor Kovica. German roots. Actually, one of my teachers, she was my PE teacher.
So they're kind of like Fijians. They're kind of like Fijians, Melanesians. Yeah. So Papua New Guinea to the Fiji Islands.
So they believe that I don't know who did some sort of records. They believe that we come from Papua New Guinea. Hawaiians come from Papua New Guinea. I was like, I don't know about that because
I'm sure some.
my historical roots, my roots doesn't come from Papua New Guinea.
Because if you look at,
They said that's what that's where we originated.
Okay, let's put 50 Hawaiians in a room. In our mind, how many different noses?
Similarities.
How many different noses you could have?
Many.
I think so. There's some Hawaiians. You look at their nose, you see Prada. You get some
You look at
popolo.
Uncle Jeff. His nose is like brada.
His nose has his own zip code. You know what I mean? That thing is huge.
You look at some of my uncles, same thing. It's like, whoa, where'd that go?
Like some Hawaiians, they have like a separate air filtration system.
My mom's nose is like that.
Your mom's nose has like extra filtration on the sides.
I was like, oh, there's that upepe.
So I guess if you put a bunch of Hawaiians in a room, you're gonna. Okay, so biblically, we all know biblically, at the end of the day, it all comes from one spot on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So now, where my grandpa, your grandpa, this grandpa, maybe they did come from, but to say that they all came from one, no, that's
so. It's funny, like how Pastor Rory was talking about Sephardic Jew. I think he said Sephardic Jew. I'm Sephardic Jewish.
Yeah, he said Sephardic. But what is that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Sephardic.
His is 1% minus 2%. So it's
So are we all? No, we're not all Jewish biblically, because right.
Biblically, we all came from the same.
So, so how do you have a Gentile? But if we all came from the same.
So Gentile doesn't necessarily mean that you are not Jewish. A Gentile simply means that you are not of the same faith of an Israelite. You're not that.
So it's not bloodline.
No.
Oh.
Gentile means that.
I think
it's funny because I did a study
this.
on this.
I knew this. I just right now I don't know it. Okay.
That's what a Gentile means. Is not you're not a follower of basically Jesus in every aspect.
You're what's the word? Not heathen. You're secular.
They just call them Gentiles, which simply means is you're not.
Because back then it was a hierarchy, basically. That you're not one of us. You're one of those people. You're a Gentile. That's kind of how they treated them, right? You're a Gentile.
Yeah, but Gentile.
It's not bloodline. It's just
Gentile. Just means that your practices are not the same as somebody who would be an Israelite, right? So an Israelite is a follower of God, right? And they would adhere to every single principle that God has put out there. A Gentile means somebody who's not that, meaning that living outside of the covenant of God, like doing your own thing, and in whether it's sexual means, whether it's the way that you live, you can be living with somebody you're not married to, you have 10 wives, and all these different things. That's simply what Gentile means, is that you're not We don't walk the same way.
Okay, so Hawaiians. We'll go back to the Hawaiians. So to say that they all came from one spot, that's ludicrous. That's
Yeah.
like saying all white people came from one spot, right?
Right. And then obviously you can get people say, I am not from there. I'm simply from Hawaii, or I am.
That's why I struggle when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm white." I'm like, no, well, that's your color. It's not even a real color. Because
Caucasian.
yeah, but people say, "Oh," when they say the whites or the blacks, I have issue with that. Like, no, they're not whites or blacks. Like,
well, and their culture is different as well, and that's how how they see. We believe that everybody has a race, a nation, a people, and ethnicity, right? So if you're black, okay, but where do you come from, right? Because we don't say that, right? It's somebody from Niue wouldn't say that they're Hawaiian. They'll say I'm Niuean, right? Even though they may have Hawaiian blood, right?
yeah.
I'm Maori, and I'm also Hawaiian, and I'm also Samoan, and I'm also Tongan, right? And I'm also Puerto Rican.
I go to laugh if when I do my blood work, I get more Samoan than you.
I want you to do your blood work because I want to see your. I mean, our children would have.
I would be
Hawaiian
mad
than
if it
you.
shows I'm Japanese. Liars, a bunch of lies. We're gonna sue Ancestry.
But it'll be interesting to find out. I didn't even know that we were Maori at all. I mean, I just thought that we was Hawaiian, period.
Okay, so if you're Maori and our kids are Maori, does that make me Maori? Does that make me Samoan? I can say my family. My family is Samoan.
But if you're Samoan, then you're Samoan, right?
If my
That doesn't mean that we're native to the land. I mean that's that we grew up in that culture.
If my bloodline comes back with some Samoan, I'm gonna definitely learn some Samoan dance and just
because I can. It's so funny, but yeah, it's just interesting.
I think more people need to look and see who they are. Not that it supersedes kingdom culture, obviously, but that they know who they are so they can. I don't know. I am proud and blessed to say that, yeah, I'm Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino for now, right? So I find out everything.
Well, and then, sometimes you got to make peace with who you are, right? Right? Because you got one fighting against another.
Like Rachel.
Right?
For people that don't know, my cousin Rachel, she's a sister that I never had, right? But she's half Haole, half Hawaiian, and there's some other things. But so she's at war with herself, and she made peace. She had a peace. So when her mom and dad got married and had the kids, that was a peace treaty with the kids. No more fighting, no more dissension.
That's funny. If you know Hawaii and you know our history, then
it makes sense.
You understand.
I don't understand.
I find it, so if you don't know our history, is one thing that we always talk about, that we don't celebrate 4th of July as Independence Day. We celebrate 4th of July as a day of
not
holiday.
Working.
Yeah,
not
a holiday that we don't have to work, but we don't celebrate it, and we don't take it to heart, and we don't really identify with it, because that's not who we are as a people. That we don't, because it's not our people, and we never understood what that independence meant for the people here.
It's kind of weird. It's like someone coming in and killing your whole village, and you're the last one there. You're the orphan, and they take you in and they raise you. And then 50 years later, they tell you, hey, man, let's celebrate the time we conquered this land. And you're like, I don't know if I should celebrate that.
So we don't celebrate it because we were always a part of a kingdom, right? Hawaii had its own kingdom. When America and was fighting with Britain for their independence from Britain, Hawaii was its own kingdom. So to understand that capacity of it, why it was so great for America, we don't have that passion, and we don't have that desire, because for us as a people is very different for us.
That to me, that's the best example. It's like what I just said. It's like Odin in Thor. He conquers a whole planet, basically destroys and kills everybody. He takes Loki as his son, and then raises him. And Loki gets raised in the ways of, and the mom. He loves the mom, right? Loki loves the mom, but when he realizes, wait a minute, there's something different. I'm like, I think a lot of people, without even thinking about it, when they, as they get older, they were like, wait a minute. You mean I can only get land that's sectioned off for Hawaiians? That's the only way I can get my land? Like,
well, even in the same way that, Thanksgiving is celebrated. Even that wasn't part of our history, right?
yeah.
And so even the way that we celebrate Thanksgiving, we don't celebrate like how everybody celebrates, like with turkey and all that stuff. Growing up, we celebrated with our own food, and
What do you think
very
Thanksgiving is?
I don't know.
I wonder if anybody really knows what Thanksgiving like. I know in school they teach you the Western history of, that's when the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower and they
Right.
landed and they.
But even for us in Hawaii, learning a history that's not ours,
It makes you wonder, like, what's true?
We're like, oh, we get to celebrate our family, da da da, but not really fully understanding the whole context of it. If that makes sense to people, like, and yeah, we're part of the United States, but people don't understand that we're a kingdom of our own, and Hawaii is so far away from. That's why we always call it the mainland, because we're technically not really connected, and our culture is very different than the culture on the 48 states that's connected. If I could word it that way to make it make sense to people, because even having people come from here and going to Hawaii and saying, oh no, there's a lot of people that walked, and very prideful about. I mean, oh no, Hawaii is the same. No, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do. I'm like, hey, whatever you say. You can do whatever program you like, but at the end of the day, I'm telling you, Hawaii is different. We are not the same. No, Hawaii is the same. And I was like, okay, whatever.
So here's the history of.
And then here they go, and they find out that, oh yeah, Hawaii is not the same.
So Thanksgiving is, which stuff we already knew all this, but there's a context at the end where obviously we know it's when the Pilgrims had, they had a good harvest. They say they had a meal. They shared a meal with the Wampanoag Native Americans, and then of course Lincoln made it a national holiday in 1863. During the Civil War, Lincoln proclaimed it a national Thanksgiving Day to be held on the last Thursday of November. So here's a controversy. There are some people that are indigenous First Nations or Native Americans where they don't like us. They don't celebrate just because it reminds them of.
Oh yeah, I forget who I was talking to. I don't know if
it
was Holly, or if it was Mary, or if it was Rita, and they're all Native Americans.
Holly would probably say it.
And I forget what they were saying, but they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. And then I asked, okay, why? And it wasn't a surprise to me that they didn't celebrate it, because just like how we don't celebrate certain things because it's not a part of our culture, there's some dark history, in those things. But I do want to say Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday. And it was always my favorite holiday because my whole family got together, and it was generational. It wasn't just my parents
It was
and
everybody.
us. It was everybody. It was my great grandparents. It was my great grandparents' kids and their kids and their kids. And we're like the fourth generation. And we would all get together. And it was just fun.
So was it
And
just one house?
it was in one house.
So it had to be the person who was the authoritative.
It was my great grandma's house.
So everybody.
And everybody came in waves and stayed. And
Because that's how, like us, we always had one main that we would go to make sure we go to that one.
yeah, so it was either my great grandma's house, and then when they got, her and my great grandpa got old, then it was my nana's house, and then my nana's house became the house that everybody came to and filtered through, and it was just fun. It was
This is
not just fun,
this is the
but
Puerto Rican side.
and then my grandma's house on my mom's side was the side that everybody would go to, and then there was just all Hawaiian food.
So what does a Puerto Rican turkey look like?
I don't know. My dad would make the turkey, and we had an emu.
So smoke flavor.
Yeah, so we always emued our turkey. Sometimes my auntie then would come and bring like pork butt or some of their other stuff, and so if we was the one making turkey or somebody else had to bring turkey, they would bring the turkey to our house. They'd bring the pork butt. They'd bring the brisket or whatever, and then we'd put it in the emu. But working at emu took a long time.
Well, they have the new ones now. Yeah, where people dig holes and make concrete. That's
right, because they actually have a community one on the Big Island now.
Yeah,
and that's where Alicia would go. But growing up, we had a big one in our backyard, and then sometimes our neighbor would ask, if they could put their stuff inside, and so we'd do it. But we would be the one, watching the fire. You gotta watch the smoke. You gotta. I mean, digging that hole was not.
It's like how we make laulaus in the house. You gotta make sure you have those cloths. It's wet, moist. Yeah.
You have burlap bags. You have
I see
you have
them
a
shoot
crate.
water. Sometimes they shoot water to maintain the moisture.
We would have the smooth stones from the volcanic smooth stones. Those were the first thing that would be inside, but you would obviously you would have to make them hot first, and then you put wire down first, and then you would have banana leaves, and you would have all the stuff that you put another crate, and however they layered it, those are the things that went inside, and then you'd have burlap bags, and the burlap bags would be soaking wet, right? Because you're creating that steam, and then obviously it can't just be like that. You have to cover it all up. And then you're going to cover it back up with the dirt as well, right?
Yeah.
And so if you need more steam and you need more stuff, I don't know how they did it, but it was always constantly watched 24 hours. It was always watched. And then, the next day you pull those things out.
And you eat.
You take it to wherever you gotta go, and then you eat it all. But yeah, that was always my favorite holiday, because it was always when all of the family got together, and and my generation knows the older generation. I'm not sure if our kids know the next generation, because some of those things haven't been passed down. Although we do it, yeah, we get together with our family.
Yeah,
that's not just our siblings, right? Outside of that, as well. Although we do get together with our siblings as well. I mean, I have 6, well now 5 other siblings.
I have 1 sibling, 1 other. It's good when we do the things with the kids, the pon the poi. I think every family should do it, not just because they moved away from Hawaii, right? They should, every family at some point should pound poi.
Well, I've learned as a kid, like even my family flying from Molokai, right? I got my uncle with them. They would teach us how to what do you call that? I won't say shuck the opihi, but how to, take the opihi out of the shell. You know, we're always eating fish. So we also had to learn how to scale the fish, cut it up, make poke, but the way, poke means square, right? Cubes or whatever.
Yeah.
And we didn't make square poke, right? We make it like, we would make it like how we would make lomi o eel. So we would make lomi, lomi fish, right? And then even in making lau lau, right? You learn how to make lau lau. That way you learn how to pound poi, all these things that that I've learned as a kid, which, a lot of these things and concepts that I'm trying to, not trying, but all of these concepts that we teach our kids, some of the other things, like not passing down the wrong things.
Yeah.
Right. Teaching values, to our children and how important it is to be a family, stay a family, to support your family, to support one another, right? Who cares about political views, right? It's not even about it's not about that. It's not about the media. It's not about what's going on in the world. That you stay true to your values, that you stay true to your family, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't grown up with a good family dynamic, and in between all of that, you teach your children, you teach them the good things. You teach them, my younger siblings and I would always fight all the time, and that's something that we've learned. And what I teach my children or our children is that you don't do that. You support each other. You love each other. As now that we're older, it's learning to unlearn some of those things, right? And undoing those things. And so with our kids, these are the values that I teach them, is to support one another, to love one another, to be okay. Even if, they annoy you, you still
serve. We told one of our kids is serve, right? You gotta get at a place where you serve one another, serve each other, right? Even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Because I do that I do it all the time.
Okay.
2 Corinthians 5:17. We're gonna land it. I'm gonna close it out then.
Okay.
Tell everybody bye.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for watching. Okay, you are officially muted. All right, you good? 2 Corinthians 5:17. I always want to make sure we root these podcasts correctly. So let me pull it up. For anybody that's joining us for the first time, thank you for being here. And when we do these podcasts, and sometimes we have crazy is it prolific? Well, I'm trying to find a big word. I'll just use a regular word. Sometimes we have really invigorating topics, and sometimes I told my wife, let's just put out content, share our hearts and things that's going on. We didn't talk a lot about world events today, but our desire really is to just share our hearts and to really share with you guys just how blessed we are. And it's by the grace of God that we're able to do anything like this at all. And the things the doors that God's opened for us in the past year, past 2 years, past 3 years. I'm very grateful that my traveling schedule has really it's to a minimum now. So I'm not traveling as much as before. And it made a difference for our kids and our families for me to be home. And just, and so part of us doing these podcasts is sharing our life with you guys. And I'm just grateful that you guys are here with us. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. I'll share this with you guys. Okay. And I want to read it. There's a specific version I like to read from for you guys. So, here we go. So now if anyone is enfolded, I love this, right? Enfolded into Christ, he or she has become an entirely new person. All that is related to the old order has vanished. Behold, everything is fresh and new. So my wife and I, we talked a lot about, culture and people, our people, Hawaiians, Samoans, Tongans, Maori, Puerto Ricans, Chinese, Filipino. The one thing that for us, at the end of the day, it's as much as we enjoy our Hawaiian culture, our Hawaiian roots, it's really about kingdom culture, what God desires for us as a people. And so if anybody's going through something, you're like, man, I don't know who I am. Like, dude, bro, go to ancestry.com. I'm going to do mine. My wife did hers already. My mother-in-law did hers. I think my sister-in-law. I'm going to do mine. I want to see what the actual percentages are. I might be surprised. You might be surprised. You'd be like, wait a minute. But that's it. We're going to shut this down, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us, listening to us. If you want to connect, go to therealglo.com. Everything's going to be in the I say course description, in the podcast description. For those of you that are with us live, thank you. YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble, X as well. Apple Podcast, Spotify, you guys are hearing us on the tape delay. And we appreciate you guys just giving us your time. As a reminder, today's episode has been brought to you by Arkon Mounts. They are the authority for sturdy, robust, reliable tripods, mounting solutions for all of your content creation needs. Go to arkon.com. Promo code is Hawaii. You get 20% off your entire order at arkon.com. So, all right, that's it. Thank you for your time, family. Thank you for your hearts, all your good stuff, all that stuff. And most importantly, thank you for your time above everything else. And we hope that the exchange of your time for this was worth it. On behalf of my wife, my family, we love you guys. God bless you guys. Ahui hope. Aloha and mahalo. Yes, sir. Chee-hoo.